It is time for another book update. This is my November book. I've been reading a book a month and I am on track. In November, I read The Runaway King. Again, this book is by Jennifer A. Nielsen. It's part of a trilogy that now has 5 books in the series, and this is book number 2. And so I just finished this one in November, and it was a really good book. I am enjoying this author. Technically, I think this is more of like a young adult series, but in being that way, it is more clean. I'm really enjoying this author. I love the way that she writes. Her books are captivating. They're super interesting. When I say clean, I mean no curse words, no explicit scenes. There is still violence in this book as well. I would say this one's actually a little bit more violent than the first book in the trilogy. But it's not like super gory details. There are details of the violence, and I think there was more quantity in this book. But again, I didn't think it was excessive, and it was still appropriate. She does such a good job of like adding unpredictable twists, but not explaining them until the end. So like you get the hindsight after the whole story has passed, and then all of a sudden she unloads all of these details that explain so much about why things happened and when things happened and how things happened. But it keeps the reader guessing and really like on edge throughout the book until you get to the end and you're like, oh, so that's why that happened. So I really love that. I'm not a fan of like Hallmark movies, for instance, that are super predictable and you know exactly what's going to happen. But this is not super predictable. So yeah, there are certain things that you're like, I knew that was coming. But then there's other things that you didn't know was coming, or you had no idea the whole backstory of why things happened. And so I do really enjoy that about her writing style. I know she has other books. I'm going to see if I can find some that ship to Columbia and see if I can read them as well. This one was a little bit less realistic than the first one. So yes, they're fiction, but the first one, like, you could totally believe that the actual things could possibly happen. But there were certain parts of this one that you go, I don't think physically that's possible. But either way, like, it was still a really good book. Those aspects didn't take away from the book. It didn't bring it into fantasy where it's totally out there. There were just certain things that I was like, there is no physical way that could happen. But I will put a link to this book below. Loved it, enjoyed it, excited to read book number 3, 4, and 5 in the trilogy. If you missed my review of her first book in the trilogy, I'll put a link up over here for you guys. And I'll put some links to some other books that I've reviewed down here. But don't forget to subscribe so that you guys can keep following on my book reading journey and our lives as missionaries. And we will see you guys on the next video.